Okay, let's talk about the last part of the motherboard, which is that input-output port on the back, or input-output panel on the back. What things does my motherboard come with that I can just plug in and go? So this is just an example of one. They are all different. This one has traditional USB ports. Those are 2.0s because they're black. The 3.0s are usually blue. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 USB ports on the back of this one. I've got a traditional Ps2 Mouse Port. If that is both green and purple, it means I can plug in a mouse or a keyboard to it. This one has an optical SIP-diff out port. That is an optical cable that you can get that will plug into from your motherboard to a sound system. So if you've got a surround sound system in your house, you might see that port on the back of your TV, PC, and an input in your surround sound system as well. It gets no delay optical sound from your PC to whatever your sound device is. We've got two different kinds of video outputs here. Here's a DVI, or digital video out, and here's a traditional analog VGA port. This is called Firewire port. The Firewire port really isn't used anymore like it was previously to hook up video devices to get video off of a digital video camera. The Firewire port, because USB 2.0 caught up with it in speed, and now USB 3.0 is faster, unless you have a device that requires Firewire, then you may or may not need that one. It says eSATA with power. That's an external SATA port to be able to hook up an external hard drive to. It gives you the same speed as an internal hard drive, but allows you to remove and replace it and just plug it in there in the eSATA port. Here's our network port here. It's RJ45 is the kind of plug. All of these are called RJ45 plugs. They look like a big phone plug. And it says it's gigabit, so it goes to 1,000 is our speed connectivity there for that network. Some motherboards have 2 to 4 network connections on them. And then we've got our sound back here. A basic sound only has these 3. And these are required to get surround sound. So if you see it's got 7 or 8 channel audio, it's going to have those additional sound ones in order for you to set up a true surround sound system. You cannot get true surround sound with just these basic audio. You may have a sound system that takes the line out green cable to a surround sound system, but it will not be true surround sound because it can't differentiate the sound the way a true sound card that's made for surround sound is set up. Which is why, if you were making a multimedia system, if you had one with just basic 3 audio ports, you might want to add an extra card with that sound card like we just talked about. So this is another rear I/O port example. It's got a PS2 port, it's got USBs, it's got newer video incremented in the back, whereas this is old video, really, DVI and especially VGA, because that's an analog output for video as opposed to DVI, which is digital video out. These are all digital. We've got a DisplayPort connector here and an HDMI port connector there. Both those are high definition video out ports that this particular motherboard that I'm showing the rear of has available. Then we've got USB 3.2 is the red one, 3.0 Gen 1 is the blue, Gen 2 is the red, and then we've got a micro USB Type-C, the kind that you get on a newer Android device there. And then we've got their RJ45. This is 2.5 gigabit LAN port. It's twice as fast as a traditional LAN. And we've got some antennas that can hook on the back one for an internal. Motherboards can have Wi-Fi in them. And if they do, they have to have an antenna connector somewhere on the rear I/O ports. And this has got a high definition sound that both has this and the optical SIP diff. Now, you had that on this one as well, the optical out. There's no way to have an optical out without having a high definition sound. So you're gonna have, if you see that, you're also probably going to see this. I don't think I've ever seen that before, that you don't have the optical with the high definition sound plugs in order to have that 7 or 8 channel audio. So those are the rear I/O ports available on a computer. When we make, and I'm kind of summarizing here, we're done with basic discussion of the motherboard. When you pick your motherboard, you pick your CPU. Or at least defines what kinds of CPUs you can get. It has a predetermined chipset, number of expansion slots, it determines the kind of memory, and obviously it determines the kind of case we can get as well. So as we look at motherboards, we need to start thinking, as we look at them, about all the things that connect up with them and all the things we want to be able to possibly connect up with them. This is an older AMD motherboard. On newer ones, you can see how big the north bridge is. It even has a pipe there. And then how the south bridge, we can see an M.2 connector there, as well as one covered with the heat sink here. And then here's an AMD motherboard. Oh no, this is an Intel. It's an LGA socket, sorry. This is a mini ATX. It doesn't have many expansion slots. And we need to decide, for instance, this one's got a big one with nothing next to it to hook a video card onto. And then 2 more PCIe X1s, and this is either an 8 or a 16. I can't tell from just looking at the picture. This one even has a blower on the north bridge on this one to cool it. So this one's made for a faster system, because I've rarely seen a cooling fan on the chipsets. But we need to be able to look at those and say, oh wait, look, here's the Sata ports right here. And by the way, if they're sideways, each one of these is 2. So we've got 2, 4, 6 SATAs on there. We've got an M.2, and that's the only one I see. One M.2 on this one. Here's our 4 slots for memory, our ZIF or PGA socket on there, and then our other USB connectors you can see labeled over here on the side. Let's go back to this one. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all we've got is SATA connectors on this one. We've got 4 memory channels. We've got at least 1 spot that we could put a video card in, and then there's an X1. I'm gonna guess an X4. Could be an X2. It's hard to tell from the picture. It is an LGA socket. This one is really limited on what we can do with this one. Whereas this one, we've got 2, 4, 6 SATA connectors plus 1, 2 M.2 spots, 1, 2 video card spots, 1, 2, 3 other slots, pretty good one, and 4 memory spots available on this one. Those are the kind of things that we need to be able to, at this point, take a look at a motherboard as we're doing our projects and say, oh, this is what this is. And when you read the specifications on a motherboard, go look at the pictures and say, that's where that is, because you need to be able to identify those things that come on a motherboard, and we should be able to pick them out. And if you can't, you say, I can't find the M.2, Mr. Poole, come to me and I'll help you find those on any specific motherboard that you might be doing your research project on. That is it for the total wrap-up of motherboards before you start your motherboard research projects.